and autism. Consciousness in every forgetful man. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes? Is that a yes?
You read the first one on the top of the right page.
Okay. So now, Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila chapter 4. It's Sanatana Goswami's meeting with Lord Chaitanya, second meeting. Verse 144. This is entitled, Devotees must reach all over the world as ordered by the spiritual master. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult teaches one not to sit down in one place, but to spread the devotional cult all over the world. The Lord dispatched Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami to Vrindavan to excavate and renovate the holy places and from there establish the cult of Bhakti. Therefore, Vrindavan was given to Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami as their place of residence. Similarly, everyone in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult should accept the words of the spiritual master and thus spread the Krishna consciousness movement. They should go everywhere to all parts of the world, accepting those places as Prabhu Dadesh, the places of residence given by the spiritual master, the Lord Krishna. The spiritual master is the representative of Lord Krishna. Therefore, one who carried out the orders of the spiritual master is understood to have carried out the orders of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spread the bhakti cult all over the world. Pritiviti achi yacha yata nagaradi gram. Therefore, devotees in the line of Krishna consciousness must go to different parts of the world and preach as ordered by the spiritual master. That will satisfy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is very important. The devotional definition, Prabhu Datta Desh, place of residence given by the spiritual master or Lord Krishna. So the main point is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spread the bhakti cult or the culture of pure devotional service without any anyabhilasita, any ulterior motive, rendering devotional service simply for the pleasure of Krishna. He wanted that culture spread all over the world. And it is mentioned here, or emphasized, or the point is made here, that the spiritual master is the representative of Lord Krishna. And if one is, it is understood, if one has carried out the order of the spiritual master, then one has carried out the orders of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is understood one has done so. So, this is the cyclic succession line of Krishna consciousness. One is an initiated devotee. He has voluntarily made himself duty-bound to carry out the order of the spiritual master in disciplic succession. It's not that disciple means discipline, means to follow the order or instruction. What to speak of doing so, that order is his very life and soul, and sum and substance of his very self. That is real disciple. Complete surrender. Not that what I want, it's what the spiritual master and what Krishna wants. That's what I want. Not that what I want, I force the spiritual master or Krishna to want what I want. If one lives one's life like that, then one is cheating oneself. That will satisfy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. And amazingly and miraculously enough, Divinity and Divine Service, Chapter 2, Canto 1, Text 18. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Nastapareshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Nastapareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Samashloke Bhakti Naishti.
Can I see a Prabhupada Lilamrita, which would be volume 3 if they're all 6, or otherwise the first part? Anyone else want to chant? Keep going.
Yuga-dharma Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
What's going on with Limrita?
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Yuga-dharma Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Yuga-dharma Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Is there an index in there?
No.
Put the book here. Could you, Vishnu, read the word for word? Can you get me a bookmark? Like, give me a mantra card.
Nashta, destroy. Rayeshu, almost nil. Abhadreshu, all that is inauspicious. Nityam, regular. Bhagavata, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, all the pure devotees. Sevaya, Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead.
Give me a mantra card. I don't want that.
Prayers. Bhakti, loving service. Bhavati, comes into being. Naistiki, irrevocable.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Please repeat. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Purport. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart. Thank you. No. Inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat. Both the Bhagavats are competent remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavat is as good as the book Bhagavat because the devotee Bhagavat leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavat, and the book Bhagavat is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees who are also Bhagavats. Bhagavat, book, and person are identical. The devotee Bhagavat is a direct representative of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavat. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion on the path to devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Srila Naradadev, who happened to be a maidservant's son in his previous life. The maidservant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he also came into contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maidservant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality Srila Naradadev. These are the miraculous effects of the association of Bhagavats. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavats, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavats, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The messages of the book Bhagavat therefore have to be received from the devotee Bhagavat, and the combination of these two Bhagavats will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vidham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Sarato Pangor Mamamanda Mater Gati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Brindaranya Kalpajrumada Śrīmad Ratnagara Sringhasana Sto Śrīmad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prastalabi Savyamanu Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasa Rambi Bamsi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venu Svanar Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestuna Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktabrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Can this table be put here too, please? Nastapareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead was praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. The question was asked, and the answer given. Eliminating all auspicious things from within the heart. And we see in the previous chapter questions by the sages. They had just seen the departure of Lord Krishna from the earth, to whom now have religious principles gone for shelter. This age of Kali has just begun. The chapter concludes, they're praising Sutta Goswami. And this is a very wonderful prayer for the Mahabhagavat spiritual master. We think, I want to speak of Srila Prabhupada, who is saving us all from the ocean of impersonalism and voidism. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so we may accept you as captain of the ship. Krishna teaches Uddhava in the 11th canto that this human body is like a perfectly tuned boat, and the spiritual master is the captain of the boat. And the instructions of the Vedas, as we're hearing today, the book Bhagavat, are favorable winds. If the Atlantic had shown its actual course or nature, I would have died. But Krishna has taken charge of the ship. And Captain Pandya and his wife, we'd never in our whole career seen such a calm Atlantic crossing. So Krishna is very, very favorable to the devotee who accepts the instruction of the captainship, is that a word? Of the spiritual master and the instructions of the Vedas, which are his instructions. Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the words directly of Krishna and the words spoken in glorification of Krishna by authorized devotees. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is both. Krishna is speaking in his multivaried incarnations throughout Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and coming to the 10th canto, and as an extra coda, which means a triumphant review of the entire opus, the 11th canto, the Uddhava Gita, both are there, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship to guide us across this difficult ocean of Kali Yuga, which diminishes and ultimately destroys all good qualities of the human being. What will happen, Kalki Das of the Kalki avatar? No more discussion, simply cutting the head, that's all. Finished. No more preaching. Preaching finished. Preaching work done. Anybody who's a devotee, let's go home back to Godhead. Everybody else finished.
Finish. See you next Kali.
Yeah. What is it? In this age of Kali, men are unlucky. What is it? What is the verse? Always disturb. Say it slowly. Enunciate properly.
In this age of Kali, men are quarrelsome, short-lived, have short memories, and above all, they're most less intelligent.
They're always disturbed.
Misguided also.
Misguided.
Unlucky.
Cheaters and the cheated. So they were in, their need was great, Their feeling of urgency was great, and they were entranced in the anxiety. And with the appearance of Sutta Goswami, they were greatly, greatly happy. So Sutta Goswami, as we were hearing, he was propitiated in about 25 or so, maybe 23 to 26 anyway. Very, very sincere verses. We don't approach the saintly person, we don't say the spiritual master and say, hey man, give me 5, what you got, you know? We understand the gravity of the situation and his what he's representing, whom he's representing. And we take into account our fallen nature, our fallen position. We don't put ourselves on an equal level with the spiritual master. One should always consider oneself a fool before the spiritual master, so that one can become competent to actually execute the order of the spiritual master. If the surgeon comes into the operating theater in some type of Hanna-Barbera or Warner Brothers cartoon, all the instruments jump to life and have a mind of their own and just go all over the place, and so the instrument is lying dormant on the operation table, and it is chosen by the expert surgeon a particular purpose, particular time within the overall operation. So in a similar way, preaching Krishna consciousness requires many different devotees to administer to all the different classes of men, like we were hearing. The Goswamis have chalked out the ways and means for all classes of men and are there in all of their books. In basic summary, love of Godhead being the goal, pure devotional service, includes all other Yeyatamam prapadyante, different paths. Everyone is on my path in all respects. There's that painting in the Bhagavad Gita of zigzag course or detour, the yogi meditating. But the direct and most happy and easiest course is the devotees who accept the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, performing regularly Harinam Sankirtan. Their path is not a zigzag course, it's a direct path back to Godhead. So, Sutta Goswami, Divinity and Divine Service, questions by the sages, it's just that, questions by the sages. Divinity and Divine Service is the triumphant answers to the questions asked at Naimisharanya, which sets the stage for the entire Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this is a very important verse. So important it is that it's taken as a standard invocation in speaking the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, offering obeisances, and then glorification of Bhagavatam itself. All that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed to nil. In the previous verse, 2 verses ago, Shushusha Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nisevanat. Serving devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains an affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. The servants of God come to propagate God consciousness. This is a very important symptom. Sometimes asked, how do I understand who is a saintly person? Prabhupada said not just he has a... Prabhupada returned to India to recover. He said that if on the third night on the Jaladuta, another heart attack would come, I surely would have died. So Prabhupada, in speaking with his close disciples in Bhubaneswar in early 1977, said that I was to have the third heart attack, but it came nearly 2 years later, in May of 1967. And Krishna saved him from that. Oh. So Prabhupada went back to India, primarily Vrindavan, to recover his health. And while in Delhi, with his disciple Achyutananda, they were touring some type of Hindu gathering, and it was like a whole weltering pot of different types of deities and worship. And they came to one place where there was a huge crowd of people, and there was like an old man, a yogi, with a long white beard, sitting in meditation, and everybody was like taking darshan, staring, and the Achyutananda, he asked Prabhupada, thinking this is he must have been thinking this is a very great personality, and and he must be very famous, and he asked Prabhupada, who is that? And Prabhupada just like we're walking down the street, and some crazy person, who's that? Oh, just some crazy bum, And the Prabhupada, some yogi, So Prabhupada would say, a Mahatma is not just one who wears saffron cloth and has a long beard. So they are propagating God consciousness. They are missionaries. They are intensely absorbed. That is why we're living our life like this. That's why we're spending our early morning tying up book Bhagavats into Christmas stacks, Christmas presents. So that people are getting the benefit of both. And if they get one of Bhakti Ken's cookies, then they not only they get the person Bhagavat, the book Bhagavat, and they get the Prasad Bhagavat. And if Bhagavat Purana is leading the kirtan, they get all four, right?
Only New York.
Perfection.
So they come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people, or the symptom of someone is intelligent is that they cooperate with them in every respect, not argue with them in all respects. Right? By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected. Because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord, and so are very dear to the Lord. So one of our calculations is to preach Krishna consciousness is not so much where we'll be successful, but where the people will be most able to take the golden opportunity properly. One of the contemplations of the spiritual master is how to deal with different disciples. That if a disciple is unable to accept the instruction of the spiritual master, then by that failure, he will become degraded and put himself in a very dangerous situation. One time, Shrutakirti saw that one devotee came to Prabhupada and asked to be able to divorce his wife and to take another woman as a wife. And this might have been the second time he had done it. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is all right. And that was done in the morning, and Shruta Kirti all day long was just wondering about it, because he saw Prabhupada previously in another case. Absolutely not. No way. But in this case, so he just waited for the right time. It was the end of the day, and Prabhupada was hearing Krishna book at the end of the day. And I think he was tucking Prabhupada in at night. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, this morning, the devotee, and before he could even get it out, and said yes. Because if I had told him no, he would have done it anyway, and his offense would have been much greater. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected. So how compassionate is the spiritual master? So therefore, to become a disciple in the first place is not at all a whimsical or trifling affair. Prabhupada say, we don't take the spiritual master as a pet. I have a pet dog. I have a guru. He's my pet. I'm cool. I'm spiritual. I wear a bracelet, and maybe I get a tat. At the very first initiation, Prabhupada said, initiation means that you accept the spiritual master as God.
Wow.
Could we make sure that the kitchen's not coming up here? Close the door on the fan, and if it's really heavy, then open the door in the backyard. Because we're living on 152nd Street, not Chauncey Street. Near McDougal Street was Chauncey Street, Chaunce, Because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord. Living on the Bowery, being driven from his Bowery residence by a LSD crazed, madman, his roommate, not knowing whether to turn left or right, what to do next. And so we're very dear to the Lord. No one's... oh, boy. You open the door in the backyard, too?
It was fully open and the fan was off, so I turned it on and the doors were open and I closed it.
Indian cooking for
So by serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of the Lord. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles on the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of Bhagavats. There are two types of Bhagavats, namely the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat. Both the Bhagavats are completely competent remedies, and both of them, or either of them, can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. So here is a very wonderful example of Prabhupada's faith in this. Bonnie McDonald, age 19, and her boyfriend, Gary McElroy, 20, had both come to San Francisco from Austin, Texas, where they had been living together as students at the University of Texas. Bonnie was a slight, fair blonde with a sweet southern drawl. She was born and raised in Southeast Texas in a Baptist family. In high school, she had become agnostic, but later, while traveling in Europe and studying the religious art there and the architecture of the great cathedrals, she had concluded that these great artists couldn't have been completely wrong. Gary, the son of a U.S. Air Force officer, had been raised in Germany, Okinawa, Japan, and other places around the world before his family had settled in Texas. His dark hair and bushy brows gave him a scowling look, except when he smiled. He was one of the first students at the University of Texas to wear long hair and experiment with psychedelic drugs. While taking LSD together, he and Bonnie had become obsessed with the idea of going on a spiritual search, and without notifying their parents or school, they had driven to the West Coast in search of someone who could teach us about spiritual life. They had spent a few frustrating months searching through spiritual books, and among spiritual groups in Haight-Ashbury, they had become vegetarians. Gary had started teaching himself to play electric guitar, while Bonnie had gone to Golden Gate Park every day to perform a self-styled hatha yoga meditation. Misguided.
Oh my God.
But sincere. Prabhupada would say about the different philosophers, actually, Satsvarup Maharaj asked Prabhupada about this in 26 Second Avenue, and without debunking or dismissing or their eclectic mental speculation, Prabhupada summed it all up nicely. Their sincerity is their God consciousness.
Wow.
So we will hear more about the ultimate sincerity of this Bhaktin Bani and Bhakta Gary, who they later became, will also be revealed if you don't know it already. But gradually they had become disillusioned and had felt themselves becoming degraded from drugs.
Wow.
When the disciple is ready, the guru will appear. So that's another point, is that there are, Prabhupada said, many candidates out there waiting to receive this message. So as representative of the spiritual master, who knows who is meant to become the next disciple, actually Prabhupada is the preeminent Shiksha Guru for everyone in this age of Kali on this planet. As the empowered spreader of Krishna consciousness all over the world. No one did it before, and no one will be able to do it again, because Prabhupada has already done it. They can simply follow in his footsteps without envy. Considering oneself a fool before the spiritual master, in terms of Lord Chaitanya, his relationship to his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri, in order to be competent to carry out duties on behalf of the spiritual master. Uddhava is being taught by Krishna the duties of the different varnas and ashram. The brahmachari should be very, very attentive and alert, an expert to carry out all of his duties. Not that, a blithering fool, We should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but simply aspire to be instrumental in the hands of the predecessor acharyas. Then we can actually do something for suffering human society. When the disciple is ready, the guru will appear. They had read and they had waited eagerly for the day when their guru would come. Although Bonnie had spent most of her time in the parks of San Francisco, one day she had been looking through a table full of magazines in a Haight-Ashbury head shop when she had found a copy of
Back to God.
the mimeograph journal produced by Srila Prabhupada's disciples in New York. She had been particularly attracted to Hayagriva's article about Swamiji. The descriptions of Swamiji's smile, his bright eyes, his pointy-toed shoes, and the things he had said and things he said had given her a feeling that this might be the guru she had been looking for. And when she had learned that How's Chauncey Street doing down there?
Try to block that.
When she had learned that this same Swamiji had opened an ashram in Haight-Ashbury, she immediately started searching through the neighborhood until she had found the temple on Frederick Street. Actually, Achyutananda, who was part of the avant-garde beatnik bohemian hip jazz scene here in New York, he describes in his book Blazing Sadhus how he, and his memoir is also there in the Planting the Seed volume. You know, generally they go west to Greenwich Village, you know, for something cool, but I decided to go east. You know, and the East Village that time wasn't really that, you know. So, and when I got to 2nd Avenue and I saw all the shoes and all the people inside, I asked some people who were like walking around outside, is this Swami Bhaktivedanta's place? And the answer, Pilgrim, your search has ended.
That was amazing.
She had found the temple on Frederick Street. Before Bonnie and Gary met Swamiji, they had both been troubled. Gary was in anxiety about the threat of being drafted into the army. And actually, later on, he went before the draft board and he was praying intensely beforehand to Prabhupada and during, please save me. And of course, he adopted some measures of acting crazy and dirty and just, you know, he like went there with not having bathed for a week and just filthy clothes and just anything asked of him, he gave some gibberish, unintelligible answer. And finally, the head guy said, "Son, you're not fit for Uncle Sam's army." You're dismissed. You know? Many of Prabhupada's disciples, some still to this day, prominent leaders, adopted similar methods to avoid the draft in Vietnam. And both of them were disillusioned because they had not found the truth they had come to San Francisco hoping to find. So, on meeting Prabhupada in his room, they began to explain their situation. So now, as Bonnie is going to relate, you'll understand why I'm reading this in regards to today's verse. He was sitting in a rocking chair in his little apartment, and he looked at us like we were crazy, because we were. And he simply said, "You come to my classes."
Oh.
Simply come to my classes every morning and every evening, and everything will be all right.
That's amazing.
So she says, this sounded to us like an unbelievable panacea. Simply coming to the classes and everything's going to be solved, that's just unbelievable. That's why it's so important especially when devotees ask us to attend classes, that we're having classes for bhaktas, so we have get to know the scripture. That sounded to be like an unbelievable panacea, but because we were so bewildered, we agreed to it. Similarly, Jadurani Devi Dasi, who was the only woman who joined at Prabhupada's 26 2nd Avenue, Prabhupada asked her the same thing in the beginning. Do you live near here? And in some type of hallucinogenic idea, she thought, well, that because I'm all pervasive, I'm very near. Said, yes, I live very near. Good, then you can come every day to my classes, which meant coming on the subway all the way from the top of the Bronx every day. An hour and a half on the subway. That's your reward. That's your austerity. We began going to his morning lectures. For us, it was a long distance to get there at 7 in the morning, but we did it every morning with the conviction that this is what he said to do, and we were going to do it. Jai. Bonnie and Gary were initiated just 2 weeks after they met Swamiji. Bonnie's initiated name was Govindadasi, who Prabhupada, perhaps one of the only disciples written in his in the Bhagavatam purports, he credits her for bringing Tulsi Maharani into ISKCON by taking seeds that he, Srila Prabhupada, gave her and cultivating Tulsi Maharani in Hawaii and those same Tulsi plants all over the movement. Although still dressed in blue jeans, even at their initiation, and not professing to know much of what was going on, they had confidence in Swamiji, that they knew their minds were still crazy from drugs, but they took their initiation seriously and became strict followers. One more little anecdote about this. On the evening of the wedding, Govindadasi's father came from Texas, even though he objected to Krishna consciousness as radically un-American. Walking up to Srila Prabhupada's seat in the temple, Govindadasi's father asked, why do you have to change my daughter's name? Why does she have to have an Indian name? Prabhupada looked at him and then with a mischievous gleam looked at Mr. Patel, an Indian guest standing nearby with his family. You don't like Indians, he asked. Everyone who heard Swamiji laughed except for Govindadasi's father, who replied, well, yeah, I guess they're all right. But why does Bonnie have to have a different name? Because she has asked me to give her one, Srila Prabhupada replied. If you love her, you will like what she likes. Your daughter is happy. Why do you object? The discussion ended there, and Govindadasi's father remained civil. Later enjoyed taking prasadam with his daughter and son-in-law.
And that was Gaurasundar.
Gaurasundar. A devotee Bhagavat is as good as the book Bhagavat because the devotee Bhagavat leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavat, and the book Bhagavat is full of information about the personality of God and his pure devotees who are also Bhagavats. Bhagavat book and person are identical. You see, Srila Prabhupada, especially, he's giving class, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That's more or less easy because that's the forum. But if you go through 130 hours of conversations, talks Srila Prabhupada had, and even more, you could look at, he's talking to press, media. Prabhupada never goes anywhere, even a hair's distance from speaking from Shastra. Quoting Bhagavatam verses, Bhagavad Gita, quoting Krishna directly. The devotee Bhagavat is a direct representative of Bhagavan. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavat, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavat. So it's not just come to the classes to hear what's written there, but by your taking association with the pure devotee. And similarly, 26 Second Avenue, the entire ISKCON movement was started like that. Prabhupada was walking on Bowery Street and crossing Houston. And if I scrutinize the description that Hayagriva in his memoir Prabhu gave, it was on the northeast side of Houston and Bowery that he met Srila Prabhupada for the first time walking. And Prabhupada invited him to come to the classes. You would bring your friends. Friends were Kirtananda, Umapati. No, he was different. He wasn't part of that Mott Street clan. He was different, as I explained earlier. He came on his own. So it was just Brahmananda and Satsvarup Maharaj had seen the notice in the window, and Satsvarup Maharaj was living on First Street in the apartments across from the playground park, First Street Park, and was going to the welfare office, which at that time was near the 7th Precinct police station on 5th Street. So he would walk on First Street, make a right on 2nd Avenue, past the storefront, walk up to 5th Street, and make a right to go to work. So he saw the notice. So, and there's so much description of these early devotees meeting Prabhupada for the first time and is giving classes and holding kirtan. When Prabhupada would lead kirtan for 30 minutes before speaking. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion to the path of devotion. But actually these are facts by Srila Narada Dev, who happened to be a maidservant's son. So we were reading Naked Pencho, and then he became Honorable District Magistrate Panchaman Babu. So here Narada Muni was the son of an insignificant Sudrani. But what happened? He got the association of the great souled sages, the Bhaktivedantas. By associating with them and Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasado, accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maidservant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality Srila Narada Dev. Human reason fails to understand. So I remember one of Prabhupada's recorded lectures was made into a small book years ago. I've not seen it. It was called Bhaktivedanta Sandesh.
Wow.
The sweet Prabhupada's words. So Prabhupada said, anyone who gets a book will become a devotee. Every book distributed means a devotee made.
What if you distribute 7 books to the devotee? There's one person.
And 7 devotees made.
Wow.
Maybe that person will get the city that he could become 7, like Kardama Muni or something. Who knows? This is all the will of the Lord. Prabhupada had very far-reaching insight into the potency of the spreading of the Sankirtan movement and transcendental book distribution. Prabhupada even said that if all of you go away, then the books will generate a new set of devotees to carry on the movement. These are the miraculous effects of the association of Bhagavats, and to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavats, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavats, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The message of the book Bhagavat, therefore, has to be received from the devotee Bhagavat, so we should scrupulously avoid hearing any type of Vedic literature or scripture, what to speak of any just some like insane, crazy interpretation from any upstart, unauthorized person, no matter how much such persons or philosophies are lauded and followed by, people in general. The message of the book Bhagavat therefore has to be received from the devotee Bhagavat, and the combination of these two Bhagavats will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. One very renowned so-called saint of India was being glorified in a particular meeting, and one of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples was present and stood up and just simply called him a foolish priest. And it caused a disturbance, and some of the other godbrothers thought that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would be displeased. But actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was quite pleased and praised the disciple, saying, "He has done well."
Didn't they write an article about it, chastising him or something like that?
Oh, in the newspaper?
Yeah, and it's to pay for that much stuff would cost so much money, so he's done so much service just to do that.
All right, so we can stop here. The verse once again. Nasta preshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke. By regularly attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God and whose praise retranscends all songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Any questions or comments?
It was very nice. Happy to hear your realization of the story about Govinda Dasi and Gaurasunde. Prabhupada said this here, daily morning evening class from me, all your problems will be solved. It's true. Meetings there, Bhagavad Gita.
Actually, we're saying the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat are identical. And we said that Prabhupada, he's right, he wrote his books, but then Prabhupada, he would regularly like to hear his books read. And you say that Krishna has written these books. You see that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, it's just a miracle that this Chaitanya Charitamrita is coming.
Wow.
Madan Mohan Vigraha is the writer. Very, very intimate relationship. Yes.
So when we give someone Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, we're giving them the person Bhagavat and the Grantha Bhagavat at the same time, right?
Yes.
Oh. So I also wanted to recollect, this was
They're getting Prabhupada, you're giving them Prabhupada.
wow.
And all the whole discipline succession.
That's amazing. So 5 years ago in one of your classes, I just started coming to the ashram, so I was not exactly following one of the regular rules. And that time you were giving class, and after, when you gave class, we had the whole discipline succession, right? But then there was Bhakti, there was Prabhupada there, and I was just everything zoned out, and I just heard this word, enough. And I immediately gave up intoxication after that, after listening to your class.
There's the potency of discipline succession, representing the entire chain of such great pure devotees. Wonderful opportunity, Vrindavan, the Prabhupada Samadhi on the upper floor, the balcony. They have the entire Guru Parampara from Krishna enlightening Brahma all the way down, and all of the whole disciplic line of Madhavendra Puri, of Madhvacharya, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is given in his prayer song, in the song of Guru Parampara, all the way down to the 6 Goswamis. And so it's very, very powerful. Don't you get a sense? All these great personalities since the dawn of creation have maintained this knowledge and are distributing it to their disciples. So this is eternal knowledge, and it is supremely potent and powerful.
Just gonna comment.
from the it reminds me from the introduction and nectar of instruction, saying that like Rupa Goswami is the head of this whole line, and that by hearing nectar of instruction or hearing his books, then it's like we're associating with him. But then by following the instructions, then it's like we're serving him.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Well, at the same time, if you're hearing and serving at the same time, then the hearing is serving. So for the people in general, that is their service, is to hear and to read. What have I gotten? What is this nonsense giving me? I've paid so much price. Let me see. So you may touch the book. We're getting credit for touching the book too, even though we're doing it.
So, Nam Kirtan.
Who?
Nam Prabhu, Nam
Sankirtan.
Nam
Sankirtan.
Nam Sankirtan is online?
He's online.
He said a comment. He knows the books. That's for sure. Enjoyed the class.
Hare Krishna.
Then,
He knows the book, that's for sure.
and then Nathabar also sent in a question. Nathabar said, "Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. I was wondering how a book can be identical with a person."
I will never die. I will live forever in my books.
Jai Prabhupada.
So we're living in Srila Prabhupada's books. And no one in this room is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, yet at the same time we're disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So human reason fails to understand. So on that note, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Ki Jai, Rama Raya Prabhu Ki Jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Mahaprasade Govinda.